Jacoby, do we have any? Thank you. Do we have any announcements before we get going?
Yes. So just before we get going, I'm going to drop a link in the chat, and this is where you're going to be able to access all of, we'll access this workshop when it's done. And then also you see some of our past ones. I'm also going to drop a link to where you can view a survey that you can give to Sam. Just, just tell him how you feel about the presentation. Really, I'm sure he'll appreciate it. And also a link to some future workshops as well that you can register for. So I'll drop that in the chat right now, and I'll pass it to you, Tanya.
Awesome, thank you. So I'll take this opportunity to tell everybody a little bit about our presenter today. I'm so glad to have with us Sam Kamani, who I met in the world of entrepreneurship in one of the always in San Diego, there's different events going on. And after we connected, we did a podcast together. And he actually interviewed me for his podcast. And I got to learn a little bit about his startup. I got to see some of the cool things that he's doing with cryptocurrency, with gamification. And he's been doing a lot of fun, different ways to engage investors and entrepreneurs in this ecosystem and really get them coming back and to his to his podcast, to his site, and he's been growing exponentially. So I'm really excited to have him here with us today and to hear from him about how we as startup founders can build our prototypes and our MVPs to really quickly iterate and get them into the hands of the users so that they can help us to validate our assumptions very quickly. And he's an expert at this. And so I'll let him talk a little bit more about that. Welcome, Sam.
Thank you. Thank you for such a fantastic introduction. And yeah, it's great to be here. Great to have this opportunity to share some of my own experiences of building MVPs, building startups, and working with other tech startup founders.
So I was just going to ask, would you mind sharing with our audience, where are you at physically today?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So I am currently in New Zealand. I have worked in US in past, mostly in LA and San Francisco Bay Area. But yeah, right now I am in New Zealand. So yeah, it's great to be on this side of the world. Not much of a time difference, just it's 1 p.m. here. So yeah, but a different day. I'm talking from future. I'm in Wednesday.
I know. So, yeah, you tell us what the future's like, right?
Yes.
So
it's filled with opportunities. That's for sure, and challenges.
Yeah. So the reason I asked, I had a feeling you were still in New Zealand, and when I spoke with you on your podcast, we spoke, and you were in New Zealand, I was here in San Diego, and I think it's wonderful that we can, that we can connect, we can work together, we can do so much across such a distance. But then also, I was hoping that maybe you had come back to San Diego, and so my fingers are still crossed that you're going to come work a little bit more.
Absolutely. I have spent some time in San Diego, and hopefully next year, but as soon as traveling gets a bit easier, I can't wait to go. And I'm already getting invites to speak at conferences and stuff. So I can't wait to do that.
Good. When the invitation is open here at the Rec and at Miramar and at SDSU, and we would love to have you speak when you come in town. And so you definitely let me know when you're coming.
Sure. Will do.
I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, not a problem. So do I just share my screen,
yes,
Jacoby? Oh, lovely. Just a second.
So you should have permission, yeah.
Yes, all good.
Yep, it's perfect, yeah.
Perfect, just a second. Yeah, so once again, welcome to all of you. Before we get started, I'll just share a bit about my experience and what I've been doing for the last 15 years or so. Most of my time has gone in building or working with tech startups. I've had like 2 small exits. So my first one was in the e-commerce space. And we had a multiple sort of a huge portfolio of websites and web apps and things like that. I sold that company in 2015. After that, I joined an esports based startup where we created software to run esports tournaments. So like Dota 2 or League of Legends or PUBG or those sort of tournaments. So anyone could come there. A lot of students from universities and clubs and organizations would run these esports tournaments using our software. And so we created that. And with that, that was a funded startup. We raised about $1 million in funding. And with that, I was based in Bay Area. And then that got acquired in 2018. And after that, I've done quite a few things. One of that is writing the book 30-Day Startup, where I talk about building startups really fast. And in the last like 2.5 years, I've experimented with different things, built different MVPs, played around with different things after the last exit from that esports startup. Today's session is inspired quite a bit from my book, The 30-Day Startup. And we only have so much time, and I want to devote a lot of that time for all of you, that you can ask me questions, ask me any questions, whether it's about my experience or working with any of the other startups that I have done in the past, or working with other entrepreneurs. So having said that, there are a few other things that I do. I currently run a podcast called Want Money, Got Money, because I interview a lot of founders who are looking for money in that podcast. And I also interview investors, VCs who have got the funding to who have got the money. So hence that podcast. There's about probably 85 episodes out there. You can check it out. You can just search for that name or search for my name on any Apple Podcasts or Spotify. If you are interested in that topic on the funding side of things, that is where I met Tanya and interviewed her for that podcast. And she shared some amazing, valuable wisdom on how people can pitch, how people can raise funding, and all those sort of things. But having said that, we will move on to building an MVP. And first of all, what is an MVP? Just a second, I will just organize my screen so my Zoom window doesn't get in the way. But yeah, so MVP is nothing more than, like, I'm sure all of you know, it's the minimum viable product. And it is just developing the most basic and the bare minimum of features that you can get away with, so that you can attract those early adopters, those risk takers, those explorers to your product. Now, what some people do mistake is that MVP does not only have to be a product, it could be a service disguised as an MVP, and it could only be a part of the product or part of the service. The key word here that people often get distracted from is the word minimum. It does not have to have everything. And if you don't focus on that keyword minimum, it can end up taking a lot of time. So that is in short. But then who else started with MVP? Pretty much nearly every successful product out that you see out there has started with an MVP. For example, Dropbox didn't even have like probably a landing page when they were doing their fundraising, when they were going out, validating their product, because it is quite complex what they have built. It is not that simple. And a lot of you might have ideas that are quite complex, that are not that simple. So they started with a video of how it would work. So just showing the video that this is how you'll move file from one place to another. I mean, this is in 2007 or 8 or some like ages ago. Back then it was still like it was still just a dream, because that wasn't that easy to do it back then. And how everything would live in the cloud and all that. And they just made it like really funny. They named the files in that presentation really funny, and that video captured people's imagination. And that's how they went from there. With Airbnb, they had 3 air beds, 3 air mattresses, whatever you call them. And that's how they started. They had like a very basic looking website. If you go and search for Airbnb first prototype or Airbnb MVP, you will see it how crude it looks. And same thing with Facebook. If you look at the Facebook Hot or Not or whatever platform not a platform, just the website they built, it looks like made by a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old. And same thing for DoorDash as well. DoorDash was just students in university in Stanford and and there was no platform, there was no AI, there was nothing matching drivers or nothing sophisticated. How it would work is just a form, like you could use a Google form, Google form, people would fill out that they want to eat a burger or something, and it's not a pizza, so there's no delivery. And then they would get the email that someone wants to, or they'd get their phone ring that someone wants to eat this, and then they would go out physically, run around in their old beat up car and pick that burger up, deliver it to the person, and that's it. And just 4 or 5 friends just doing this, running around. So they would jump out from the class and go and do this. They'll have to do and that's how they ran for months and months. So it does not have to be. And same thing with Amazon. I think I have a screenshot of the first version of Amazon later on as well, and how minimal it is, that how few only books, nothing else. I mean, today Amazon sells nearly everything, whether it's cars or rockets or clothes or anything in between. But back then they started with the bare minimum. Just solve one problem. You don't have to solve every problem in the world. That's how they started. So this brings us to the question, what are the different types of MVPs we can create? Because one solution might not fit your specific problem that you're trying to solve. And just like some of the examples I gave, they were all different types of MVPs. There are few different types of MVPs that are covered today. There's probably a lot more than this in this day and age. But first of all, it's like a landing page. So you could just have a landing page. You've got an idea, that's great. Let's get this idea validated. Does anyone even want it? Will anyone even buy it, subscribe to it? So just create a landing page. There are so many landing page creators out there. You could do this in the next 2 or 3 hours, and you could have that landing page, share it on LinkedIn, share it with 100 of your friends, and see how many subscribe to it, how many sign up, how many pre-purchase. You could easily connect Stripe. You could have it all done in next few hours, and just get some real validation, because it's all good to dream about it. And not share it, not spread it, because you're afraid that what if I share it and no one signs up? But it's the best thing that could happen. If no one signs up, then that you need to do something more or something else, or pivot. So that is the basic, the most easiest one. It will take you $0 to do that. The second one is taking it one step further, and that is the concierge MVP. And that is that, when you go to you stay in a hotel, they have a concierge service, where you can ask them that, hey, where do I get this? Where do I buy food here? Where do I get groceries? Who will pick my bag? And then they go and do that stuff. So same concept. Instead of a form, you have like a drop down list, and you have a bit more sophisticated form, and in the back end you are doing the work manually. There is no sophisticated AI doing the job. But say, for example, it is a marketplace which is using AI. I mean, a lot of the marketplaces do that to match the right person. But in this sort of a thing, you will manually match, you will manually call for your user, and you will solve their problem.
So Sam, I was just going to say, I call these pretendo types, like a prototype,
yes,
because it's we're pretending that it exists, but behind the scenes it's always us back there doing the actual work. So I think concierge MVP is a maybe an even better term, right?
yes, I know. So the only difference I see between concierge MVP and Wizard of Oz MVP is that in concierge MVP you let the client know that, hey,
yes,
this is what's happening, that we are providing this as a service,
as opposed to the Wizard of Oz, where we're
Wizard of Oz, where they don't know what's happening it's a black box, and whether you are doing it, computers doing it, calculators doing, whoever's doing it.
Sure, right.
So
which is probably more of a pretendo,
yeah. But it's pretty much the same thing as and once again, these are super easy to develop, super quick to develop. And then what one thing that this does, these three solutions, as a landing page MVP, concierge MVP, Wizard of Oz MVP, it shifts the focus from building the product to sales. And that is like the key. And you would realize that what your cost per acquisition is, or CAC, that is a very important metrics that most VCs, most investors would like to know, that, what does it cost for you to acquire a customer? And you can't do that until you have something like this and you have gone out in the market to see what it would really cost. Because the other thing is that if the lifetime value of your customer is only $10 and it takes $200 of ads to acquire that customer, that maybe that is not the right model. You need to look at pivoting somehow, or doing something else, or providing more value that people value it more. Then the third one is hybrid MVP. And this is something where, it could be partially concierge, and then partially it could have some aspects of automation in the back end. So as you figure out more things, or maybe there is a no-code solution, maybe there is an existing marketplace or existing APIs that you can leverage and create like a hybrid version. And whatever you cannot find, initially you manually do it. I might have some examples of, I might have an example of this later on in this, of creating a hybrid MVP, and I have done it really fast. I mean, anyone can do it really, really fast. And then the last one is the fully functioning MVP. And this is getting easier day by day because of the number of no-code solutions and the number of low-code solutions, that you can do this in few days, if not like few weeks. So once again, definitely do this if you can, because any investor or any angel or anyone who's investing in you would have so much more confidence in your product or in your ability if you can create a fully functioning product, because it shows that you have technical knowledge and you understand what it really takes. So that is, of course, the most preferred solution, but that should not stop you from getting started. And to get started, just start with a landing page. Just get started today. Don't let anything that is hard come up and procrastinate your desire to start. So why should you build an MVP instead of a full product? And the first thing is validation, because you want some validation that is not just coming from you or your friends. You want completely unbiased validation, and the real validation happens when people have to open their wallets. So until they have to open their wallets, people can say whatever they want. Even if you do a survey, most people I know are generally very nice, and they say nice things on your face, or nice things in a survey if they know who the survey is coming from, or they just take the first option because they are too lazy to read. So it's very hard to get real validation unless people had to really open their wallet, because people vote with their wallets. So if you really had to pay $5 or $10 for something, then you really know that that person really, really wanted that problem solved, that they did that. And then the second thing is cost. Building a full product, hiring technical talent, or even if you are the technical talent, building that full product has a cost of time. So once again, you have to pay much higher cost. So build an MVP, get someone to open their wallet and vote with their wallet. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing is product market fit. What a lot of people don't realize with product market fit, that it can change, as time goes, product market fit changes. So that's why it's like people no longer use MySpace, and in fact people no longer use Facebook. So they had product market fit in 2012, but it is slowly eroding and fading. So product market fit is something that you'll always have to work on. And even when you have a super successful startup, which a lot of you I'm sure are going to achieve, you will still have to keep working on this. You will still have to keep adding new features and adding new things. And each feature could be seen as a product of its own. And each one, you could run different MVP type experiments around. And this is something that games do all the time. Any game you play, it gets boring after a while. And that's why, whether it is, Fortnite or any game, so they have new things, new events, new things coming up all the time. And then they treat these things as small MVP experiments as well. They release in some markets, or they release a feature, or they do different types of landing pages or things like, hey, will you be interested in this, and things like that. So they have different ways of validating to continue to keep their product market fit secure. Otherwise, it might not be used after a while, and that's just what happens. The last thing is that the only advantage I see that the startups have over big, large corporation with lots and lots of money is speed, because they have to go through bureaucracy. They have to go through so many people in their company. So many people have to sign. So many people have to say yes. So many meetings, everything. They take 6 months to make a decision. But you don't have to go and get approval of the board. You don't have to go get approval of the shareholder and have a meeting with their shareholders or stakeholders. You can go and make that MVP this afternoon or this evening for you guys, and publish it tomorrow and start getting feedback tomorrow. So you have speed, you have time to market advantage, and that advantage can be maintained if you build an MVP really, really fast, and if that MVP is really lean but still solving the problem. So yeah, so how do you build an MVP really fast? One of the things that I did mention was the rise of no-code tools and low-code tools. So some of these tools are tools like Airtable that you can use. So even our product Ensydr, which we have built, where people can go and predict the price of stocks or crypto. We use a lot of these sort of no-code tools in the background for some parts of it. So we had a daily news feature, and for that, instead of building a database, we built using Airtable, and we update the Airtable and it updates the news there. So you could build things really easily. You could build apps in Shopify. So you have Shopify in the background, and the front end is just a shell, and that is bringing in products and things from Shopify. So there are lots and lots of different options. There is Card that I use for a lot of our websites. There is Notion. Notion is great. A lot of people are building lots of interesting things in Notion. And lastly, there is something called Zapier. So you can use Zapier to connect a lot of these tools, a lot of these sort of no-code tools with your front end, and still make it look like a complete SaaS product. And you connect Stripe with it. And all of these things could be achieved really, really fast, because a lot of these things are all just visual. You're just using sort of visual platform. You don't need a lot of deep technical expertise for using any of these. There are YouTube tutorials. And if you get stuck, you can just hire someone on Fiverr or Upwork to help you integrate one of these no-code things, and they might charge you for 1 or 2 hours of work. So it is really possible to build something for not much money and have a functioning product or some sort of a hybrid MVP really, really fast. There are no excuses anymore. But having said that, I would like to go back and talk about some of the common mistakes that people see. And earlier on, I mentioned that I will share with you how Amazon's MVP looked like. So this is Amazon's first version. It looks very, very different to today. There is no AWS, there is no Alexa, there is no Kindle, there is none of those sort of things. It is just books. They're just selling books and physical books, and this is it. So if they can get started with this, and then they realize that, after this, the first thing is sales, and then they focus on sales and customer acquisition. So as soon as you're solving someone's problem, then go hard on that side. And yeah, and then you can show traction. And if you have that, there is so much money in the market at the moment looking for good startup like you guys, that you guys should have no problem. And once again, like going back to the common MVP mistakes, is that people do feel like they have to provide a lot more functionality than they generally do. And when you do build more than you need to, what happens is it gets really, really hard to pivot, because there is something like a sunk cost fallacy. And when you have built too many things, but then no one is using a lot of those features, it's very hard to remove that because you spent like 6 months building it, you spend so much of money and everything that it gets harder and harder to pivot the later you want to pivot in your startup's life cycle. So the best time to pivot is early on, when you still haven't built as much, you haven't spent $1 million or 500,000 of your investors' money which you are answerable for. So that's why focus on the minimum, build it fast, get it out there, get usage. And that is something that we have continued to do and we have continued to test. So this is one of the things that we built. We create NFTs for charity, and we want to build a platform that is like Shopify for NFTs. Now, Shopify is worth hundreds of billions of dollars. We can't compete with them at this stage. So in the interim, we manually build things for the charities to build NFTs on our platform and stuff. So we did this in about 2 or 3 weeks, and we already have a charity onboarded, and it should be going to sort of press and PR and media next week and stuff. So it is absolutely possible, and this is something we built. So if you do look for the NFT charity project, or I can send you the link, you can see our platform right live, and this is what we are trying to build, that any charity can come on our platform, create NFTs, and accept payment for their NFTs, not only in Ethereum, but any cryptocurrency or any fiat currency like US dollars or euro or Canadian dollars, or any currency. So that's what we are doing. A lot of the things we are matching different products and connecting different products and different marketplaces to create this. But eventually, as we make more money, as our sales increase, we hope to and we intend to automate a lot of these processes and build a lot of these processes in-house. So we have a complete end-to-end solution in this space. So once again,
Sam.
Yes.
Is it possible for you to drop that link in the chat?
Yeah, sure. I will definitely do that as soon as I finish. We'll have time for question and answer, right? How much time do we have?
About 20 minutes. Yeah, 20 minutes.
Yeah, I am nearly finished. I've just got one more slide, and after that I'll drop it, and then we'll do question and answer, and I'll have question and answers about this as well. So just a second. Yep, cool. I will definitely drop a link to this. Finally, it is a lot easier to build things, and build things much faster than it was even 2 years ago, because of decentralization, and the rate of innovation is just getting faster. Previously, you had to wait for middle parties and stuff. Now you do not need to do that at all. You could go for a completely DeFi solution, and you can create things really fast. But this is such a big topic that it is like probably an hour of workshop of on its own, and just in the Web3 space. And because of I am getting quite a few questions in this, what I'm doing is I'm starting a podcast in the Web3 space. It is launching on the 29th, and I'm going to put a link to this podcast right now in the chat as well. One thing is, feel free to connect with me on any of these platforms, or ask me any question here right now. I would like to know is, what topic would you be interested in future if I am talking about? So is it blockchain? Is it NFTs? Is it crypto? Is it AI? Is it metaverse or anything? So feel free to share that in the chat, and I will stop my screen share, and I will just share some of the links that I just mentioned.
You know, we can also one other thing that we can do, Sam, is as part of that feedback, the survey, we can just drop quickly a question in there. So if you wouldn't mind, Jacoby, just quickly doing adding that question to it, then maybe we can get some additional data to share then with Sam. So yeah, we'll share with you whatever we get.
You're just
cool. Yeah. So, and anybody, but then, but I didn't mean to discourage anybody from dropping into the chat. If you do want to drop into the chat, anything that you'd like to see in a future workshop with Sam, or for future topic covered, please do just drop that in the chat there.
Lovely.
Okay, do we have questions then from the audience? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
There is a question in the feedback. That's what they like, what anyone would like covered in the future workshop. So that is there already in the
Perfect.
feedback form. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. So, and do we have any questions then from the audience, or Jacoby, did you notice any questions as we were going?
Well, I was going to just ask Sam if you could just briefly explain what an NFT is, because I know not everyone fully understands that. So, if you could just kind of get into what it is and maybe some things that people could use NFTs for, that would be great.
Yes, sure. So how about I show a live, I share my screen and I show a live example of what it is used for or what we are using it for and stuff. So, okay. So first of all, NFT means non-fungible token. And, when you use US dollars or any physical sort of a currency that exists, it is fungible. So what that means is when you pay someone $1, they can exchange $1 with you. The value is defined, but whereas it is, say, a 1936 Mercedes-Benz that is in mint condition with only 200 miles on the clock and always kept in a museum, how would you rate that? The value of that car is non-fungible. So you wouldn't know what price to pay. The price of that car is only worth what people are willing to pay. If there are 1,000 people fighting for it in an auction, the value might go up really, really high. But if it's in a deserted island and people don't need it, it's just rotting in the sand. It's like no one needs it. So its value is highly dependent on the, like beauty is in the eye of beholder type of a thing. So that is the same thing. It is a lot of the NFTs started with digital artwork, and people, this was a way for people to sell their digital artwork and exchange the value from one to another. So I could be a digital artist, I could create artwork, and I can sell that artwork to you via an NFT. And what you would do is you would get a wallet, like a digital wallet. And when you purchase this NFT, it will be sent straight to your wallet. So now there can be marketplaces, just like there used to be art galleries, where you can go and purchase these digital artworks, and then the gallery will, or the marketplace will get a cut of it, a share of it. And that is how an NFT works. But it goes more than that, because it is basically, you can say, like a smart contract, because it is just a piece of code. And in this code, you can add things like that every time that NFT is sold, a part of it goes to the original artist. It was never possible. So when you buy some artwork from, say, from an art gallery, the artist gets paid, the art gallery gets paid, but that's it. And then it's up to you whether you manage to sell it or you don't sell it. It doesn't matter. But now you can encode it that every time that artwork sell, the original artist gets 10% or 20%. So if the art goes up exponentially in value, the artist can still generate income, and that changes things. You can not only do that, but you can, in that smart contract, you can write even a lot more stuff, like, that if you hold an NFT from me, you can have a lunch with me. So just like how Warren Buffett auctions a lunch with Warren Buffett once a year for a few $1 million. So just like that, he could, Gary Vee does that if you hold one of the V friends, you can go to his conference because you can show it in your digital wallet. And because it's in blockchain, there is a history of it, that this is original or not, because only one person can hold it, multiple people cannot. So you can take a screenshot of the NFT, but you don't hold that piece of code in your digital wallet. The only way to get it in your digital wallet is to pay with your digital currency to get that. So that means that you can use it as an exclusive ticket to an exclusive event, and you get access to that. So once again, a lot of the things anywhere in the world wherever there is a transaction happening, people can now encode it in a smart contract and extract more value out of it, and the end user gets more value. And all this can even happen in a decentralized form. So you no longer even need a intermediary platform like Eventbrite or something like that. So you could create your own NFTs and say, whoever holds the NFT, come to my conference, and the only way to come to my conference is to hold my NFT. So that is pretty much what Gary Vee has done with VeeFriends, and that's why the cheapest Gary Vee's NFT is now 40,000 or 80,000 or something like that. It used to be a few $100s, but now the only way you can go to his conference is by holding his NFT. So yeah. So let me now just share with you how we are using it. So we have partnered with this charity that is based in Los Angeles. It's called Gift, and they run this campaign in the slums of South Africa, where they provide them with everything from sporting equipments to books to lights, because a lot of them have no electricity at all. So we are doing this NFTs for like solar lights, where if someone buys one of this say NFT, this is like $250, that will fund lights for up to like 8 to 10 families, like solar lights with batteries and everything included. So this is another sort of an example, and every time that NFT keeps selling, the charity will keep making money. I will put that link in the chat as well. Just a second. So yeah, I mean, there are so many use cases of it. And once again, that will pretty much, like, it's a very big topic on how you can use it, where you can use it.
Thank you. Yeah, that was actually a really good explanation. We have Christos has his hand up. If you want to unmute yourself and ask a question. Crystal.
There. I was wondering what your opinion is, Sam. Do you think the metaverse is hype or the future of the internet?
Oh, that's such a big one. Eventually, yes, but so basically the idea is that we could be doing the same conference in metaverse, and I have used some of those sort of platforms, but I haven't been 100% convinced, because the ease of use is what really changes things. So it is really easy for me to use NFTs, but it is still really hard for me to go to a virtual event in metaverse. But eventually it will happen, because I've been like playing games, and I feel part of, I mean, for last pretty much 25 years or since I was a kid, and I felt part of some of these games, because I would meet my friends on that game every single day for like, sometimes once I did it for like 7 or 8 years. Every evening after kids go to bed and stuff, we'd all jump in and we'd do that. So it is just, I think, the matter of time when it becomes more easy and more accessible. So timing is another big thing. Just like it is very hard to have Instagram when you still had those brick Motorola phones. So the timing needed to be right for Instagram or TikTok to happen, that the phones had to be developed enough, they needed to have camera and all that. So once we have the hardware that it is not that hard, metaverse would be a thing. So yeah, once again, it's a timing thing. And if you're too early, it's not that good either. If you come in too early, just like if you have Instagram, if you build Instagram but no one has a smartphone, the chances of it being used are none, pretty much.
Thank you so much, Sam.
No problem. Are there any other questions?
Hey, Sam, I have a question for you.
Yes, go ahead.
The no code, and Kristen referred to this, Kristen goes on the no code slide, the tools.
Yes.
Do you recommend one of the tools for application development for like iPhone apps or Android apps? Is there one that you prefer? Or best
Um,
of breed, actually. What's
so
what are the best
okay, so there is one. Let me just put a link in the comments here. So it is, I think it was a Y Combinator startup. I think it's Glide app. Yeah, let me share this with you. Is here. The thing is, it would, yeah, it would depend on your need. It would depend on what the project needs, because that could be different for different projects. So
something with a database in the back end, holding user credentials.
I think
Do you
this one does
usually
it. This one does, it uses
does?
just like a spreadsheet in the back end. So you can, that's a very easy database, just Google spreadsheet
Yeah.
in the back end. And the thing is, it's got like really good templates and stuff. So you can find the one template which is the nearest to yours. Like it could be a food app, it could be like a customer resource management app, a chat app, something. So, you just choose the one that's closest to you, and it is quite quick to build. I have built on that. Which other ones would I use? Yeah, we use Airtable. I know a lot of people who use Notion, but the other thing to look into is Zapier, and you can just connect a lot of no code tools together using Zapier. Let me just share a link here with you. Some of you might know this one already.
Yeah, and then API integration.
Yes,
Why
so
apps?
yeah, so you can just use multiple different multiple different no code tools together, and create something, because one of the no code tool might have one facility and the other one might have other. So yeah, so the other one that you said, the database is really good, is Airtable. So that's what we use for the database in the backend, Airtable. And then you use Zapier to connect. So say you want to connect Stripe with that database, and you want to connect like a chat facility with that. So then you have different no code tools, and you are using Zapier to connect these, all these different no code tools. Once again, a lot of these things have been done before. So you would find what do you call, like tutorials easily on YouTube.
And using these platforms, you can build a production ready marketable product.
Yes, pretty much. A product that works and that's solving someone's problem. And once you get sales, eventually you will have to build your own product. Eventually you will need to build, but at least it's getting you started, and it's showing you what people are using, what people are not using. So
Okay, Sam, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
no problem. So I've shared some more links there for anyone.
I have a question. So
Yes.
how do you feel about people saying that like NFTs are just hype, they're not gonna last? Like what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, so let me share with you one thing, and that is, just a second, just I want to share one more link here last. The thing is, do you know what is the best performing asset in the last 200 years? And that is art. It is not, cryptocurrencies are only 10 years old. Most of the stocks and stuff are not that old. It's not real estate. It's not anything else. It is art for the last 200 years. So if you own another, like a masterpiece or something from 80 years ago, it is worth probably 40, 50 million, 80 million now. And so this is just now taking that art to the next level. But it's not only the art, it's also now the access and the fact that we might call NFTs something different in future. Maybe we might just call them smart contracts, but they might morph into that sort of form. So you could say that, pagers were a fad, but then they built the technology for the next thing. Or we no longer use dumb phones. So we might no longer use NFTs in future, but we might use something that is built on top of that. So it is definitely worth looking into.
Mhm. Thank you. Yeah, I've also seen, like just aside from actual art pieces, there's people selling their music as NFTs, people selling video game characters and stuff, or like video game clothing as NFTs.
Yes.
So, it's just so many things going on, not just like an art piece
Yes,
itself.
it was very hard to sell digital goods before NFTs. You needed a middleman. So you want to sell an ebook, you needed Amazon, you needed, so those sort of things. Now we no longer need. So we created this for the charity. By the way, we'd be very happy if you, if you have a look at that charity, help out, or even share about it with your friends. I'll create a LinkedIn post in the next few hours. And if you can share it, tag someone, that'd be super, super helpful. It will change a lot of life for other people
Yeah,
around the world.
thank you. I was going to say we'll push that out too. So please do share with us, and we'll make sure that we'll push it on all of our
Yeah,
social
sure. I'll
media.
send an email to all of you as well. But yeah,
I
I
know
think
I was
Christos
going to say
has a question.
yeah, I was going to say we're near out of time, but there might be a couple of questions. I see Christos is handed up. So
Yeah. I just have a quick one. It used to be that NFTs cost like something like $100 to create each. Is that still the case, or have they changed the
No.
gas part?
No. So the thing is, it depends on what blockchain you are using. So it's a very good, very valid question. In fact, it can even cost up to $300. So if you are using Ethereum blockchain to create and sell, then it will cost a lot of gas fees, because Ethereum works on proof of work, which is still super expensive and very electricity intensive process. So it is not that environmentally friendly either. What we do is we use a blockchain called Solana, and Solana has gas fees or is of around equivalent to $1.50, $1.20, sometimes less than $1, sometimes 30 cents, but never more than $2. So we use that. There are even more economical blockchains being developed right now. So the cost is coming down. So just like, the first mobile phone ever in the world would cost a lot more, and then the price keeps coming down. And just like the same, like, you buy a very big screen TV, 50, 60 inch TV 8 years or 10 years ago, and you buy the same TV now, it's so much cheaper. Having said that, that was physical goods. This is all just digital, and the costs go down really, really fast. It will be in fraction of a cent in the next 8-9 months. But yeah, Ethereum, most of the NFTs are still minted on Ethereum, and it is still super expensive to purchase or sell your NFT. But having said that, there are people who have bought NFTs for say $20 or $10 that are worth now 2 million, 5 million, 8 million. They might not retain their values, but there are NFTs that are worth in millions that people paid for nothing. So the last 12 months, the most highest performing career has been NFT buyers and sellers or traders or whatever you call them. So yeah.
Just to close off, can you give
Yes.
us the link to that? Solana, is it solana.com? That's
Let
very
me
interesting, by the way.
just-
Thank you again.
Yeah, no problem. Solana, just a second. So Solana, and yes, it is solana.com. Yeah. So there are lots and lots of developers working in this space. And pretty much anytime there is something like this, event like this, just like when there was the advent of internet, it sucked up all the smartest people, and the same thing's happening with Web3. And that's why I've created my podcast in the Web3 space, because anytime something like this happens, it pulls in the smartest people from all around the world who want to go and create all the newest and the sort of the shiniest things possible and solve problems in the ways that they could never be solved before. One thing I'd like to share, just like how powerful Web3 is, people don't really appreciate and understand it enough. And that's why I'm creating a podcast on the Web3 space. It is Web3. I think I might have shared the link, but I'll do that here. Yeah. To give you an example, you can create like an insurance company like Geico or something like that in few hours time, which you could never do that before. So say, for example, you are a farmer, you're buying insurance for your crops, so that if there is say 90 days no rain and there's a drought and you lose your crops, so you buy insurance. But now you could create this sort of an insurance company in Web3 space. You could create say an NFT for that everyone buys. Between 10 farmers, they buy this sort of a token or from your insurance company for $2,000 each in different parts of US. And then if your part, and it's connected with the weather API, and if your part of US does not get rain, or your farm doesn't get rain for 90 days, it automatically kicks in, and whatever the fund is, the total amount, it goes to your digital wallet. So this sort of a thing, there is no call center, there is no middleman, nothing. It is all a self-running, a decentralized, autonomous organization. And you've somehow created insurance company that works by itself, no bias, no bureaucracy, no paperwork, nothing, completely decentralized in next few hours. And this was never possible. Like, you creating an insurance company, you can't even think the amount of complexity and the rules and the regulation you'd have to go through. Now these sort of things are happening all around the world. And there's so many, there's like thousands of new use cases and companies being born every single day in this space. And it's creating more millionaires and billionaires than anyone can even imagine. So yeah, lots of exciting things happening.
Thank you, Sam. Yeah, so that's the end of the time we have, but thank you for everything. That was super informative. You know,
And I just want to remind everybody that, I was going to say, Jacoby, just remind everybody, we'll share the links so that if any of you didn't get a chance to grab all the links out of the chat, you can access them on the YouTube video. We'll just put them in the description of the YouTube video, and that'll be available by end of day tomorrow on the Rick Innovation Lab channel, YouTube channel. So cool. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Have a good one. We'll see you at the next workshop. Thank you, Sam. That was a wonderful,
Lovely.
wonderful workshop. Yeah.
Thank you.
Great times.
All good.
Anytime.
Yes.
Anytime. Love
Yes,
it.
yeah. Bye. Yeah.
Bye.